Alright, it's time to resume our Goldeneye type updates. We're going to go into the facility, which is not really like the facility. Daniel Craig is trying to hypnotize us into thinking he's a good Bond, but we know better than that, and none of his silly ways will be able to thwart us. So we're in the weapons storage facility, and Arcane's also blasting the Russian Federation, and...
I've got you, Alec. Good.
were you having some trouble there, were you? Yeah, so the best secret
We'll
agents you've ever seen in your life, I suppose.
The alternate channels on the ultra-low frequency sideband.
And here is the ultra-low frequency sideband. He was carrying it around with him the whole time. That was clever of him.
Hasn't spotted us.
And as long as you don't look at the time this video takes. Yes, they give you this number and it's just completely meaningless because, as it turns out, there isn't a time limit at all. It's really silly, so we'll just put Eminem up there where he lives and he can go and do things.
Last one out buys the first round. You're on.
Okay, so last one out buys the first round, but I'm going to fire the first round at this vent, so he'll have to buy it. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it. So we've got to infiltrate the weapons facility, which I could have sworn we did at the end of the previous mission, but I guess we're doing it again, just to make sure it sticks. So we've got to go through all of these vents where security seems light, apparently, so we've got to watch out for head crabs and necromorphs and all the other things that dwell in vents, I suppose. They put lights in these vents, I don't know why. I guess people crawl through here all the time, and they just want to make it a bit easier on them, but that seems a little counterproductive when it all comes down to it. So they got all sorts of fans and other silliness, but now we're going to do a thing, but we're going to do it in the form of a QTE. Press button to Daniel Craig. So we go down here. Daniel Craig. I'm a secret agent. I'm going to get you, Hayden Tenno. That's not how it was supposed to work. You stop there. I'm James Nod. You can't do this to me. Yeah, that is the way that Daniel Craig enters the facility, craply. So let's go in here where there is a gun going to the toilet gun, which is not good. So over here are some mirrors. These actually work in the Wii version, but here all you can do is turn them into abstract modern art. I suppose it's because the Call of Duty engine can't do mirrors, because there has only been, what, 3 or 4 times in the entire series that you have been able to see a reflection, and in all of them you couldn't control your character at the time. There's that thing, which was in London as well. I guess they must have stolen it or something, but anyway, you step outside this door and all resemblance to the original Goldeneye ceases. That's the end of it, and now we're in the land of mediocrity. This guy, they've added a little speech for him, which isn't in the Wii version, because they want us to shoot him, I suppose. He's just complaining to himself. You, sir, that's enough of your ways. You won't have to fix anything ever again, because you can't fix the hole in your head. And meanwhile, in this room, they're milking a giant cow, I guess. And there's another conversation for us to listen to, so let's hide. Yeah, you tell him. So that man is so unmanly that his girlfriend has left him for her own sister. I guess that's weird of him, so we're going to have to thwart him with our gun, we are. So let's lurk our way around here to where these two men are having their conversation. We'll wait for him to go up there, out of sight and out of mind, and then we will place these men out of mind with bullets in them. So we've dealt with those two. He's going to wander off there, oblivious, and meanwhile we've got this massive Soviet grot-pumping machine here, which is linked to the future. You know, when you're doing aesthetics, you're meant to just pick one and stick with it, not just use all of them at once, I guess, but I suppose they didn't know that. Also, why would you have pumps in a hydroelectric dam? Isn't the whole point of a hydroelectric dam that you're supposed to be using the water to generate electricity, as opposed to using electricity to move it around? Maybe it's part of Oromov's evil. He's constructed a hydroelectric dam that wastes electricity, or something like that. Or perhaps that's pumping communism into other realms. Okay, so they're kind of getting past the idea that 006 is actually good at anything at all here, and rather than this being a show of their camaraderie and how well they work together, it's kind of just a show of how completely inept 006 is throughout. He's bad at absolutely everything. So here you can shoot the lock off here, which will get us a couple of Cygnus 9s in a minute. There we go, we'll shoot that, which are, of course, the MP5N. And there we go. The fast electron, this is actually in the position between semi and auto, which would be where burst would be if it had a burst mode, but it doesn't, so it's nothing. It's the indecision marker. I just cut there because I was looking for one of the Janus symbols, but unfortunately the guide I have, which isn't on GameFAQs, which apparently became useless while I wasn't looking, said it was in the first office, but this is the first office and it isn't here. It meant a different first office, I suppose. So let's take out the security camera, a preview for the only time I get captured in this level. sometimes they'll notice security cameras and sometimes they won't. In the Wii version they never notice them, but that's just the way of things, I suppose. You've also got these FPS computers here, which have a tower unit, a monitor, and a keyboard and a printer, but they don't have any cables, so they just work via the magics or something. There's actually 2 achievements that you can get in this level, and this is the only place you can really get them. There's one for completing a... Oh, that guy's talking.
12 hours sentry duty. It's too long.
Yes, 12-hour sentry duty is definitely too long for any human to physically withstand. That's ridiculous, so let's take care of that. So anyway, you can get there's one achievement that you need for completing a level in 007 mode without collecting any body armor, and there's another one for completing a level without taking any damage. And since this is the only level in the entire game which you can complete in full stealth, this is the only one you can really do either of those things in, so that's rather silly. Anyway, this man is trying to beat up a vending machine, but he's bad at it, and it's the same vending machine we had in London. He must have captured it or something, and he vanishes in disgust at that fact. Meanwhile, in here is the first of our objectives, to take pictures of things. That, I believe, is the area where the final boss fight takes place, and that thing over there on the right, on the other hand, is a plan of that. That's vital information for MI6, so we must take a photograph of it and email it off to our land. Which apparently doesn't involve sending messages that they can detect, because otherwise we'd be breaking radio silence, and that would be silly of us, even though 006 has already done it. Anyway, so let's pick out our Cygnus 9, and here we get a Cygnus 9 with a suppressor, which is great, because it makes the level really easy and stuff. So if we lurk our way up here now, the door down there would take us out across an area where we would be visible to all of the people lurking in the room next door. There you can see the trigger group of this, and we'll just bust our way through here. But this is a secret way, which will take us in a higher route, and will make 006 observe things at us. In a second, they're running down there because that's what they do. And here is a really...
Less travel, James. The lower bridge will lead you to Master Engineering.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so there's a really stupidly placed logo which you would never find if you weren't using a guide, because they are these things really aren't put anywhere you'd be able to find them. They're just, you know, in rubbish locations. Anyway, here's another nice little demonstration of that silly little pop-up thing and where it screws you over, as I said in the previous levels thing. If you look here, we can shoot that guy right... Oh. No, you have to do it hands-free. You have to be a brave man there in order to defeat them. So there's a guy over here who's contemplating suicide, so let's give him a hand. You, sir, there you go. You've been defeated, and your hat has been sent on a marvellous journey. So there's the 2 guys down there. There's another guy under there, but we can't really see him yet, so let's snipe his friends here. I actually messed this up in the Wii version. I messed most things up in the Wii version, because it's a bit of a grovel, that run, but you'll have to wait in order to see that. Now, over here, they've had to add in 2 lines from 006, largely because without the pre-mission briefing sequence, you wouldn't know what the hell you're doing here. This is downloading the shipping manifests, but yeah, we're winning at Tetris as well. So he's going to tell us what we just did.
Excellent work, James. That'll give us a lead on the terrorist groups he's worked with.
Well, will it? Well, that's fine. It's nice to know what the hell we just did, really, isn't it? Even the objectives in the original Goldeneye weren't that abstract. It's just silly. So let's sneak down here and deal with this man, because I think it's his fault. We already knew that. I mean, that's why we're here, after all. It's just silliness. Or maybe we're not here for any reason at all, and then MI6 just sent us in order to find out if Oromov was a mean person. If so, we've probably shot a few too many people for it to be forgivable. They actually play off on this later, the idea that we're trying to prove our innocence for something, and it's like, we shot hundreds of Russian soldiers, you know. We're going to try and prove our innocence of that as well. There's a scissor lift there, and there is water down here. And I'm going to put in a little contest here. Can anybody figure out what on earth this room is actually for? I mean, are we still inside the dam? Is the facility in the dam now? And that's the problem with this level, is it really doesn't make any sense, and you've got some Russian there that doesn't make any sense to me either, and it's probably badly translated anyway, so we'll ignore it. Anyway, we're going to lurk through a vent. Like, what is this room, and where are we in relation to the outside of the dam? It's never clear, it's never going to make any sense, so we'll just have to sneak our way through here. I guess in this one, the Soviet Union was a subdivision of the Umbrella Corporation, so they just put secret labs under absolutely everything for no reason. Anyway, that guy's typing, which is bad of him, so we have thwarted him for that. And now we'll have to go through here. There's this weird man in this area. He has an alarming habit of walking up a flight of stairs and then disappearing forever, so we'll see his tricks later on, but firstly we've got more sneakulizing to do. So we're going to go through here because there's a security camera over there that would find us if we tried to go that way. So we'll go through here and unleash the vents. This is fascinating after all, really interesting gameplay type of mechanics we have here. And come on, I don't know why games have this whole, like, pulling vents off thing. I guess it's another method of masking loading, though. They did it in things like Syndicate as well, where you actually had to keep pressing the button to release the vent, otherwise the vent would remain in place. It was fastened with structural bolts or something. So there's another guy typing, and we know what Bond thinks of that, so we dealt with him. This is the guy who is has a plan, you see. He's figured out the way to get out of this game. All he has to do is walk to the left and go through a door, and he's home free, and Bond won't be able to shoot him. I actually waited a while for him to come back, but it turns out if you let him go through that door, he's off, he's out of it. That is the end of him, because he disappears from the minimap in a second. There he goes. He has won. But that guy hasn't won. We have won instead, because we have fixed him. Right, so we'll just deal with that last security camera over there. There's a couple of useless little side rooms here, like that one, which is full of machineries, but there is no purpose to it. You could end up in here through a vent, but I don't know why you'd do that, so we didn't, that's what. And there's a little secret in here as well. There's some hidden weapons, but we don't want them because we've already got a better one. So let's go through the door over here, which we have conquered the security camera of, and then we can see what's in store for us. We're going to steal your contents, only we're not. It's Sigmuses with reflex sights but no suppressors, so they are of no interest to us. They are only there for academic purposes. Meanwhile, they are playing Soviet space invaders there, so I guess you play as the aliens and you alien your way down. It's not quite like Soviet Missile Command, where you play as the missiles, but it's a thing that is. So we've got a Janus symbol there, and there's a completely useless vent here. That vent there, well, it might seem useful to you, but if you go around here, you can see that all it does is come out here. And you would have had to have killed everyone on the upper walkway anyway to get through there, but never mind. So let us detach our suppressors so that we can do a bit more damage here, because it's got a breaching sequence, so we'll have to loot our way through this door and shoot at men. Right, there we go. So this is Master Engineering, where a scientist, for some reason, is in charge of doors and codes therein. I don't understand it myself, but you're about to see a very silly thing. So, you, sir, I'm going to bring you over here, where you now live. You, type codes into that computer, otherwise I will summon my silencer from the void, because I think it should be on my gun. Come forth, suppressor, you will be there. Yes, they forgot to turn off your control of that. Okay, it's got to press R3 there, even though... there it goes.
Are you going to kill me?
No.
You don't actually have to do the QTE there at all, it's just that nothing will happen until you do, so it's basically it's press X to nothing, which is kind of voiding even the flimsy point of a QTE. So you go on there and stay there this time. We'll press that there, and this will get us a snipety rifle. So we'll replace our AK with that, which for some reason has the rear sight of an AK-74U. Okay, so this is a Mark 12 Mod 1 special purpose rifle. The special purpose for this rifle is, of course, shooting people, so we will enact that special purpose. And this is basically a cheat gun. It's more or less the PPK, only it kills everyone instantly, and it has a scope on it. So yeah, there's no difficulty in this level at all anymore. And it comes with 25 rounds, which is much less stingy than on the Wii version, where it comes with far less than that and also sucks. So we'll see that when it comes, so let us not do anything further on that front. You, stop wandering over there, that is not where you go, that is not your realm, sir. So that guy's going to go down there. He's got a flashlight on his gun, even though if we picked it up, we wouldn't have it, so we're jealous of him. And that entire section was just caused by the fact that Bond couldn't be bothered to climb up these, the lazy man that he is. So we're going to go over here. We could have a look at their G36s, but we're not going to pick one up forever, because we have all of these suppressed weapons, and that's what we're into here. We're going to do a full stealth run. So that's another DP3. We've already had a DP3, though, so that is not an interesting new experience for us. So we'll pick up the Sigmas 9 instead, and make our way ever onwards. We are going to go into the facility now that we have finally unlocked it. Even if you cause an alert in that area the first time, you don't have an alert the second time, which doesn't make any sense to me. It's all instanced, I suppose. So we've completed the objective, and now we have to Rendez Vos with Agent 006, who is naughtying his way towards it. Okay, that is to advertise to us that this next room is called the Atrium, because you wouldn't know that otherwise. I don't know why this dam has an atrium, but it just does. Okay, so he's going to loudly kick a vent out of there, which strangely they won't be able to detect, and if we look up at him, we will discover that he has the same weaponries that we do, which is not what he has in the Wii version. He has something else. So let's slurge our way along here and see if we can defeat these men. Meanwhile, our radioactive PSP has appeared, so that is clearly an objective that we are going to have to complete. So he's got a little laser sight there, but he's useless, and it takes him forever to take care of anything, so let's knock that guy's block off, and then we will see these other men who are moving towards their positions. You, sir, your position is down there now in your gravel. So he's going over there, but we can't have that. You have to ponder the exact mechanics of a stealth game where bodies don't remain. It kind of doesn't require any thought or anything. So if we move up here now, a couple more guys have spawned, which is what he warned us of. So we will deal with them before we do anything else. That guy is coming over from there, and he walks out to where the other guy walked out. But he has no greater success than that guy did in the end. That's how it is for people like him, I'm afraid. So there's another stupidly hidden Janus symbol there, so that's good. I don't know why there are Janus symbols hidden in here, being as Janus is up there, but I suppose it made sense to someone during some stage of the development. So let's go in here and deal with 2 more men and one of their security cameras and get ourselves another one of those objectives. Now, I can't remember if I said it in the previous video, but in the Wii version it will actually fail the mission if you don't do all the objectives, whereas in this version, if you don't do one of the objectives, it will just bust you down to whichever skill level you did do the objectives for that mission, which is lame and silly. Anyway, there's a device there, but I'm sure we'll never see it again, so it doesn't matter what kind of device it is. So let's knock that off and have a look at these. Here we have an over DP3s with ACOG scopes. Now, we could pick up one of them, but we don't really want to hold on to it for now, so let us return to this thing. In a minute you're going to see the only time I screwed up my stealth in this, because I forgot that exploding security cameras make noise in this version. So I was defeated. If I hadn't done that, I would have been stealthy the whole way through, because apparently being punched in the face by Hayden Tenno doesn't count. As well it wouldn't, being as that is canon after all. They try to give you an achievement for not doing that, but I'm not up for that sort of silliness. That is not how it works. That's not how Daniel Craig enters the facility. So I'll deal with that, but he spots us. He's heard of our tricks, and so we will deal with our fire extinguisher there. That was all we do. You, sir, you're going to be beaten up. Now we're going to run along here, and there's another little oddity you're about to see here with the health in this game, which is, I really don't know why they do this, but for some reason, if you're at critical health, they have a weird tendency to hold off on shooting you, so you'll see that here. We just take cover here. We're nearly dead, and if he followed up on us, we would be. However, he's not going to. He's just going to lurk his way over here and let all of our health come back. The blood fades from our faces, and we duck up here and defeat him. And there's a bunch of dudes doing sciences in the various rooms around us, but we don't care about that, and so we will have to do science in this room. It's full of gases, though. So how do we get rid of gases? Well, that doesn't do anything, so there's just a button to press to remove gases from this room, and no one pressed it. That was lazy of them. I'm sure we'll blow up their facility for that later. So stuff that in there, and then we will pick up an Nova DP3 with an ACOG scope. We will, because I've had enough of that gun. It's been in our hands for too long. And there is that EMP radial thing from before, and there is the plans to a helicopter which Oromov doesn't have yet, and isn't his. I really don't know what they're doing here. It causes a plot hole later, so we won't talk about that for now. Anyway, we've now completed all of our objectives, so let's go and complete the rest of our objectives, which are through here. There is a room in which Alec will once again be incredibly incompetent and panic. Okay, so what's he going to do this time? There he is, he's dislodged that, and now he is going to hide behind a shelving unit because he is a colossal nitwit. Okay, I'll create a diversion. Okay, there's a diversion. No, that doesn't count as a diversion. You have to, in order to create a diversion, you have to press this, which, as it says there, happens at completely arbitrary ranges because the creators of this are nitwits. Also, there are no actual gadgets in this thing aside from this smartphone, which is violating the one use of a gadget ever rule that every Bond movie has, so I don't think that you are being a proper James Bond there, Mr. Gregory. However, he's going to be a proper James Bond because he knows the secret is kneeing people in the arse and then punching them a few times. There you go. That's him down and deaded. Now, I know he disappears in one version. It turns out it's not this one, so that's why I keep staring at him. Yeah, that time he had to beat up the Pope. I mean, God, it's ridiculousness. Yeah, that's why I keep looking at him here. He might have disappeared, but he didn't. But the vent cover did, so I was still fully justified, I believe. Now, you might notice that there is a green dot there. That's Trevelyan. Now, if you go over here, I was waiting for him to disappear, but he didn't do it. He was a bad man. Then another green dot has appeared. There is actually, I imagine if you could no-clip through there, you'd find there was another Trevelyan behind that door, but there is one over there who is going to let us into the rest of the level, and so he is the Trevelyan we are interested in. He is more dynamic than that hiding behind a door Trevelyan, who is invisible anyway. So yes, he doesn't vanish.
I'll meet you at the fuel tanks.
Yes, okay, you just teleport somewhere else, you silly man. So let's go through this door, back into the Grot refinery. So yeah, so I guess the Soviet Union is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Umbrella Corporation. and they just put secret labs absolutely anywhere. Anyway, so this text scrolls in the Wii version, but it doesn't here, and there is Bwahamni or something, which is a word, but it doesn't mean anything in this language, and so it is defeated. So I don't know what any of that text says. It probably means something in badly translated Russian, but meanwhile he is going to drop down there with the grace of a jungle twat. He's got a chair, though. What will he do with the chair? Maybe he will sit on it and talk to them, and no, he is far more warlike than that, and so he will defeat this man using his wrestling technique, and then he will point a gun at his head. You, sir, you will give me the codes to this thing. There aren't any codes to this thing. It's already logged in. Well, then I don't need you, do I? You can go to sleep. So he throws his gun away, throws the man away, and both of them vanish. That's just what he does. He banishes people from dimensions, which he does not approve of. So let's go in here. We've got to do the final room now as he types away on that computer uselessly. Okay, so here is the final room. This is the bottling room. And I guess they've gotten rid of the idea that this is a chemical warfare facility, being as, like, these clearly aren't tanks filled with chemicals, they're just filled with explosionness. So we're going to do an empty reload of this now, which is he operates the charging handle in a manly fashion, and then he shoots security cameras, which is also part of the empty reload. We've got low ammo, but we don't care about that because this is the last room in the level. You can see there are flashing outlines there because they don't trust us to place the remote mines themselves, and apparently Oromov is trying to corner the market in blue. I guess it is a very lucrative thing in post-Soviet Russia. Everybody wants some blue every now and then. It's just the way life goes. So yeah, so apparently these fuel tanks are also radioactive, so I really don't know what's supposed to be in them. And I must say I've never really understood the ending of this in any version of Goldeneye. It's like, what was Trevelyan actually wanting Bond to do? Was he supposed to just like say, no Alec, we're bros, and run towards him and engage in hot sweaty mancest right there on the bottling room floor? It's not the only thing I can think of, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. I mean, is he's like, finish the job, James, blow them all to hell, which means that not only does James have to set off the explosives since Oromov knows about them, but he's just told him to, so being loyal to his friend is the same thing as being loyal to the mission. It's ridiculous. It doesn't really work out. I guess it must have been one of the parts of the script that the guy who wrote this wrote. That's the only explanation I can think of. So anyway, that guy's up there doing his thing, but now he will never do his thing again. He's been destroyed. So if we go down here, if we go up here, there's a couple of placement points. You go down to the bottom, every single one of them has a placement point, so I don't really know what the point of going up here is at all. And you have a turning point moment here in that you can actually be standing too close to the remote mines to place them, which makes all kinds of sense. There you go, there is the blue chemicals which Oromov has been harnessing the powers of. So I'll place that there, and I guess he must have just put on all of these silly flashing lights here himself. He was going to blow up his own bottling room, but then he failed at it due to an outbreak of atheism. That's not the right word, but I'm going to stick to it anyway. So let's place that there, and then we will place the one last mine there, and then we have won at it. Obviously we can't detonate the mines ourselves, because that would be interactivity, and that's not what video games are about, so instead we've got to run out of the bottling room like a coward with a tail between his legs. Which is where you keep them, don't you know? So let's run in here, and then Bond will have a moment.
Alec, are you there? Alec?
Mother?
Alec?
Father? And then the hallway gets really long and turns into a light. No, that's a different game. So let's run along this hallway in a slow, squadrodly manner, and then we will find ourselves in Oromov's convenient trap, which isn't in the bottling room and doesn't really make any sense. So these two are going to have a not acting contest. He's wearing about 1/20th of a Brezhnev's worth of medals. I don't know why he spends all his time in his dress uniform.
Hold your fire, you'll kill all
Now,
of
you
us.
probably wouldn't be able to set off a bomb by shooting it because they're fairly inert, so this doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it's gas canisters in the original, which does, and anyway, he fires a shot there, which is straight towards the other bombs in the rack, so that makes even less sense.
8.
Here you go. Bond is actually going to try to surrender here, so he isn't loyal to the mission at all. So it makes even less sense in this version.
Finish the job, James. Blow him to hell. 4.
Okay, so now we have this... I don't know what this music's trying to do. I guess we're supposed to be running towards Trevelyan through a field of flowers or something. That's what they told the composer. It's...
Too late.
Okay, so he shoots him, and there isn't a blood splat in this version. There's a really big one in the Wii version, as you're about to see.
You let your friend die.
No, I think you did
Now
that.
it's your turn.
No, that's you, Oromov. He really has problems with identifying himself successfully. There's a really, really long pause here that makes you think you've missed the QGE even though you haven't. Get a Wilhelm scream there, so Bond goes for the one thing that's important in his life, the one thing that still loves him, and he makes his way out on the conveyor belt. He has won a great victory. That has been that, and I have been Evil Tim. Goodbye. You will all have a good day. Except you won't, because this isn't over yet. There's one more.